Hey guys, this is Flamingo, and welcome to my Guild Wars 2 class guide for the Chronomancer. In this video, we're going to be looking at what extra weapon the Chronomancer can use, what extra healing skills, utility skills and elite skills the Chronomancer has at his disposal, as well as looking at how the Chronomancer changes the base Mesmer profession mechanics, and also having a look at the Chronomancer specialization and the traits that gives you. So if you're interested in playing as a Chronomancer, or if you already have a Chronomancer and you want to know more about it, then strap in and we'll get started right now. Right, so before we get into the nitty gritty, I wanted to give a quick profession overview for the Chronomancer. So the Chronomancer is the first elite specialization for the Mesmer, unlocked in the Heart of Thorns expansion. Those who choose the path of the Chronomancer gain new abilities that allow them to rend both space and time. Being able to use both a shield and new wells, their skill set focuses on past versus future and fast versus slow as key themes. Chronomancers also gain access to continuum split, as well as the new alacrity effect that speeds up skill recharges rather than slowing them down. Okay, so if you don't want to do an elite specialization right now and you just want the base Mesmer class, then check out my class guide for the Mesmer. Otherwise, let's get going with the weapon skills. Okay, so one of the key features of the Chronomancer is the ability to use an offhand shield. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a shield on and we're going to have a look at the weapon skills it gives us. So these skills are completely unique to the Chronomancer. So your first skill here, your number 4, is Echo of Memory. So this summons a phantasm. So it's a block incoming attacks for a short duration. If this skill fully channels, summon a phantasm that slows enemies and grants protection to allies. If an attack is blocked, Deja Vu is usable for a short period of time. And if you read the description of Deja Vu down there, it's the same with summoning the Phantasm. So effectively, regardless of whether you fully channel the skill or you block an attack, it's still going to summon the Phantasm. So it's pretty good because some of the other ones for this, with these like this sort of don't do it if you don't get hit. So let's give this as an example. Obviously this target golem's not going to hit me, but see that animation there? And then the Phantasm comes in and does that anyway, because like we said, even if you don't get attacked, if you fully channel it, it still uses the skill, so that's pretty cool. So let's have a little look at the number 5 ability, Tides of Time. So launch a wave of temporal energy that damages and stops enemies it passes through and buffs allies. So we're going to shoot a wave that's going to damage enemies and buff allies. So the wave then returns to you. Touching the returning wave reduces the recharge of this skill. So we're going to shoot out a wave and then the wave's going to come back at us. So when it goes out, it's going to damage enemies and buff allies, and when it comes back, if you touch it, then we will reduce the recharge of it. So let's give it a little go against this golem here. If I use this, as you can see, you direct it over there, push, and it comes back, touch it, recharge reduce. It's a really cool animation skill there, and not only is it going to be damaging the enemies, it's also going to be buffing your allies. So it's a really useful weapon skill to have. So this shield, if paired with a good main hand weapon, could be a really good weapon for the Chronomancer. So now that's the weapon skills, so what we're going to look at now are the new healing skill. Okay, so like all elite specializations, the Chronomancer adds a new healing skill. So let's have a little look at it. Okay, so the Well of Eternity is the new healing skill. So this is our first look at the Chronomancer's Well abilities. So Well abilities are ground targeted abilities that affect everything in the area, either positive effects to allies or negative effects to enemies. Let's have a look at this one. So the Well of Eternity. Create a well that rewinds time, removing conditions from allies. When it expires, the well heals all allies in the area. So this is kind of strange and different for a healing ability, but it's actually pretty cool. And has a few different effects that you need to read through there. So there's an initial self-heal. So you want to make sure that you ground target onto yourself. So what that's going to do is it's going to heal you initially for a couple of thousand. So a relatively small heal. And then it's going to pulse 3 times over 3 seconds. And during those pulses, it's going to remove conditions from allies. And then on the final pulse, when it expires after 3 seconds, the well is going to heal you and all allies in the area. So you want to make sure when it reaches the third pulse, you're in that area. So there's quite a few things to think about. So let's give a demonstration. So if I ground target this onto myself, boom, initial heal, 3 pulses, removing conditions, and then boom, that's going to heal everyone in the area. So it's a pretty effective skill in group scenarios, but obviously you do have to make sure that you use it properly and that you're in the area, so it might sometimes be easier to use a different one, but I think that's a good addition to the arsenal. So next thing, let's have a look at the new utility skills. Okay, so let's have a look at the new utility skills. So as you can see, the Chronomancer has added 4 new utility skills to the top here. These are all well skills, which is a whole new type of skill for the Chronomancer. So let's have a look at all of these one by one. So the first one here, Well of Precognition. So this is create a well that gives allies the ability to see the future, allowing them to block incoming attacks. When the well ends, allies within the well regain endurance. So basically this is a buff one, so this is good for allies rather than a negative one for your enemies. So if I put this down, it's going to allow me to block incoming attacks while it's on, so that's really good. And then at the end, me and all allies are going to regain endurance. So a couple of effects there, like all of these wells. They have a starting effect and a ending effect. So go. So as you can see, it's giving me a shield so I can block incoming attacks, pulse, and then boom, at the end there, we're all going to regain endurance as well. So that's a good one. So let me just swap that to that one. Right, okay, so the second one, Well of Calamity. So create a well that rends time, damaging, weakening and crippling foes in the area. When the final pulse of Well of Calamity triggers, it deals massive damage to foes in the area. So this is a good ground targeted AoE attack. So what this is going to do, like I said, it's going to pulse over a few seconds, and it's going to basically do quite a few different effects. It's going to damage them, weaken them and cripple them all at the same time, and then at the end it's going to do big damage. So you want to make sure you use this against enemies that are going to stay still. If they move out of it, then you're not going to get the big damage at the end, and it's going to be a complete waste. So let's give it a go. So let's try this ability now. Okay, you can see that, all of those effects going on, and boom, big damage right at the end. So that one ability didn't do anything else, already got that down to half health. That's a really powerful ability, so you're definitely going to want to think of getting that one into your Chronomancer build somehow. So the next one, we've got Well of Recall. So creates a well that steals memories from foes, damaging and chilling them. When it expires, it restores memories to allies, speeding their skill recharge. So it's got a negative effect at first to enemies, and then a positive effect to you and allies at the end. So you want this to be a well-placed ground target ability which has some allies and some enemies in it. So you do have to make sure you get this right. So let's have a look. So it can be damage and chill the enemy, and then at the end you can see chilled, boom, and then at the end it's going to speed your skill recharge as well. So that's a nice little buff there. So that would be good for a group situation. And then the fourth one, which I'll switch over here, is Well of Action. Just get away from these guys, making a lot of noise. Okay, so create a well of delayed time, damaging and slowing foes. When the well expires, time snaps back, granting quickness to allies. So this is another one that's negative on the enemies at first, then positive to allies at the end. So effectively, we're going to slow enemies down, damage them, which you might want to use this with another well, because you could use this to slow them down, and you can use the other well to damage them at the same time. But it is going to do some damage, and then at the end it will grant quickness to allies. So this focuses on one of the Chronomancer things, which is speed for yourself and slowing down the enemies. So let's try this out. So we want myself and the golem in here. So boom, there you go, that's slowing down the enemy, it's pulsing, and then at the end, boom, speeds me up as well. There you go, so it's buffing me and putting conditions on the enemies. So that's all 4 of the new utility skills for the Chronomancer. So next we're going to have a look at the new elite skill. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the new elite skill with the Chronomancer. So as we can see, we've got new elite skill, Gravity Well. So create a powerful well that warps space in an area, knocking down, floating and pulling foes caught in its event horizon. When it expires, foes still inside the well take damage. Okay, so this seems pretty cool. So this is going to be another ground targeted AoE attack, and what this is going to do is it's going to drag all the enemies in, and then it's going to pulse a few times and cause big damage at the end. So I'm hoping for some decent results here. So let's try this out on these enemies. So if I can get 2 in one, maybe just about, if I give that a go, and see if that pulls them in and does some damage. So let's keep an eye on this. Okay, you can see, boom, there you go. So it almost killed down. It's a bit weird because the golems get pulled back to their original place, but as you can see, it pulled the enemies in, sucked them together, and then bam, big damage. So that's pretty cool for controlling the enemies, and maybe in like a boss fight or something like that, you could stick it on there with another well or so, and that'll do some serious damage. So that's the elite skill that you get. So the next thing I want to do is just talk about how the Chronomancer has changed the profession mechanics. Okay, so I want to have a look at how the Chronomancer has changed the basic profession mechanics for the Mesmer. So as you can see here, same as normal, you've got your illusions across the top there, 1, 2 and 3, but you'll notice that this F1 to F4 abilities all look different. Well, the first 3 pretty much do the same thing with a few little twists, and then your F4 is completely different, and we'll go through that. So let's have a quick look. So your F1 ability, Split Second. So this shatter ability destroys all your clones, damaging nearby foes. Strike again after a delay. Okay, so this is very similar to the normal one, Mind Rack, but obviously it's going to strike after a delay as well. So if I give this a go, F1, and then boom, again. So it hits twice. And obviously, if I actually had clones active, that's going to be doing a lot more damage as well. So that's still your main damage shatter, which is pretty cool. And then you got your F2 ability, Rewinder. So destroy all your clones, confusing nearby foes, and recharging the skill for each clone shattered. So as you can see, it's got electricity per clone there, so 25% skill recharge rate. So you're going to be, putting electricity on yourself and recharging your skills even quicker. So that's one of the main differences to this and what it's focusing on. Electricity is a new effect with the Chronomancer. So let's try this out. Confusing nearby enemies.
Good.
Okay, so that enemy is confused, and I said if you had more clones active, then that's going to be recharging the skill even quicker. So you can use that nice and quickly. Okay, so the F3 ability, Time Sync. So this destroys all clones, dazing and slowing their targets. And you can see their electricity per clone as well. So that's pretty consistent. So if I use that, boom, cool effect. And there you go. That foe's going to be dazed and slowed for a short period of time. Obviously that's going to be all nearby enemies as well that are affected by that. So that's pretty cool. So let's have a look at this F4 ability, which is a big difference to the one that you're used to playing as a Mesmer. So, Continuum Split. So, destroy all your clones and create a rift in the space-time continuum. When it expires, you will revert back to your original point with your previous health, endurance and skill recharges. Duration increases with each illusion shattered. So this is a really interesting effect, really different to anything we've ever seen in Guild Wars 2. So what this is going to do is it's going to create, let's say, a rip in space-time continuum. You're going to then use your skills, and then it will end after a certain amount of time based on how many clones you have. And then your health, endurance, skill recharges, all of that is going to revert back to where it was. So in theory, if I was to use this and then use a bunch of my skills in the few seconds I have, at the end of it, it's then going to revert me back so I can use all those skills again, because the recharges will be reset, and so will my health. So it's kind of something you want to do when you've got a few clones, you've got full health, and then you want to go in, maybe take some damage, and you can come back out of it, and you'll have your health back and your skill recharges. Okay, so to demonstrate this ability, I've stuck a main hand weapon on and changed a couple of skills so I can get some illusions going, because obviously if I haven't got illusions going, it's not going to be very effective. Okay, so let's give this a quick go. So what I'll do is I will summon some, I'll try and get one that they're not about to kill. So I'll summon a couple of clones and illusions, and then I will enter into my continuum split. Okay, so let's use it on this guy when he respawns. Okay, right, so summoning some clones, shatter them with continuum split, and then use a couple of abilities. And you can see there, all those abilities there, they reset when continuum split ran out. So it's not just that, obviously your health comes back, your endurance comes back as well. So it's pretty cool. Obviously bear in mind you want to use it when you have 3 illusions up, so you get the maximum amount of time. But that's a pretty cool new ability, and just has an awesome effect, and just personifies the Chronomancer as someone who wants to control time and space. So that's the profession mechanics done. So let's have a look at the Chronomancer Specialization. Okay, so we're now going to look at the Chronomancer Elite Specialization and have a look at what traits it gives you, just to make yourself even more powerful. Okay, so the first trait here is gain access to Chronomancer's shatter skills and wells. So this is obviously a mandatory one, so it's the first one you do. So once you've got this, you're now able to use all of the new shatter skills and wells that come with the Chronomancer. So your first choice here, you've got disabling a foe slows them. So disables include stuns, daze, knockbacks, pulls, basically everything like that. So whenever you use one of those, it also slows them down. The next option is activating a shatter gives your illusion super speed. Shatters deal increased damage to movement impaired foes. So what you could do with that, I suppose, is, you know, if you use a shatter skill and the illusions have to move towards them to explode, they'll do it super quick, so it will make your shatter skills quicker, which is good. And then also increase damage if you're using movement impairs on them, well, which is, you are quite a lot as a Chronomancer. And then wells heal allies when they end. So that's pretty cool. So that's any well, not just your normal healing well that you already have. Any well, when it ends, it's going to heal you and all your allied targets. So that's really cool. So here, gain alacrity for each clone you shatter. So alacrity per clone, 25% skill recharge rate. So that's pretty cool. That's just a standard one. So that will, as you can see, that comes up when you look over there. So look, 25% skill recharge rate per one. So that's good. And then, sorry, here you've got danger time. So gain additional critical hit chance against slowed enemies. Critical hits deal additional damage to slowed enemies. This bonus also applies to your illusions. So once again, anyone who's slowed, so this is all about like time and movement and stuff like that. Anyone who's slowed, you're going to be doing extra damage to, and so your illusions. Shatter skills generate a clone if you have enough clones present. So that's pretty cool. So required clones free. So if you use a shatter skill and you have 3 clones, which hopefully you will, then you're going to, you know, generate another clone as well. So alacrity applied to you is stronger but has a reduced duration. So recharge speed 50%, duration decrease 33%. So that's further improving your alacrity, which you can use with your shatter skills, which is pretty good. So time marches on. You move 25% faster. The duration of incoming movement impairing conditions is reduced by 25%. So this is just going to increase your movement speed, and obviously, like I said, decrease the movement impairing conditions as well. So this is all about making you quicker and stopping people from slowing you down. And then you've got gain alacrity when you inflict slow. So a lot of these things we're talking about, you know, it's all about slowing down the enemy. So this is also going to give you alacrity when you do that. So basically, it's coming from all different sources. You've got gain quickness for each clone you shatter. Nearby allies also gain quickness. So once again, making you faster, which is excellent, and links in with your shatter skills as well, like most of this does. And then finally, the first time a phantasm would become a clone, it instead resummons itself and attacks again. Resummoned phantasms inflict a percentage of the original's damage, and the percent is 50%. But that's pretty awesome. So obviously normally you do a phantasm, it does this powerful attack, and then it becomes like a clone which just does a basic attack. But this will let it do it twice, albeit the second one will only be at 50% damage, but I still think that's quite a reasonable damage increase on just a basic clone. So that's a pretty cool one as well. So that's everything with the Chronomancer specialization. So what I'll do now is I'll throw these skills together and do a little combat demonstration before we end the video. Okay, so I've got a little build ready. I've got the main hand sword with the offhand shield, which is the Chronomancer unique weapon. And then I've also got just a standard greatsword on the other one. And then all across here are all Chronomancer abilities, so we can try them all out. So let's give this a little go. So as you can see, really awesome control of movement and time there, and there's a lot more you can do with this build, so well worth giving it a go. But that brings everything to a close on this guide of the Chronomancer. So if you have any more questions about the Chronomancer, then stick them in the comments. If you want to look at just an overview of all of the classes and all of the elite specializations in one video, then I've got a video of that, which is only about 40 minutes long, on my channel, so check that out. And I'll also be doing these on each class and each elite specialization separately, so check those out as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.